What's going on, Sumolings? Welcome to another product walkthrough webinar. I am Lindsay, and I am joined today by the team over at Ideanote. Ideanote is an all-in-one innovation platform that empowers your team to capture, develop, and prioritize your best business ideas. It is in our store right now for just $59. Before we dive into the walkthrough and introduce you to the team over there, I'm going to tell you just a few quick things. The first is that we would love to hear about you and your use case and your business over in the chat room. Tell us why you're interested in Ideanote, what's exciting you about it, and how it can change your business over there. And then the next thing that I want to tell you is that we will be taking questions in the Q&A box down below the video screen. I love to hear about me too. That's great. Yeah, so if you have any questions about the deal or the product, how to get set up, anything like that, we're going to circle back to those questions at the end of the walkthrough, and you can leave them down below the video. And then the third thing is that there will be a replay of this. It'll be sent to your emails, and it'll be available on YouTube. Hello, if you're watching this on YouTube. And yeah, so you can watch this as many times as you want. Don't worry about taking notes. All right, I think I have talked long enough. Hello, Morton. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you kindly, Lindsay. We're very happy to be here. I'm with my comrade Jacob, who's in the chat on questions, and I'm very much looking forward to taking you through the product.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about what Sumolings are loving about the product so far.
I mean, yeah, first off, a big thank you to the wonderful Sumos out there, and just the overwhelming amount of fantastic feedback that we've received. It's been fantastic. So I can't thank you enough. It seems that especially the simplicity of the product has been something that people have enjoyed quite a lot. It's very easy to get started with. And there is definitely strength in simplicity. You know, people have enough of those robust enterprisey tools out there. So it's nice, it's playful, and that seems to be just up the AppSumo alley. So that's really cool.
I love that. And I firmly believe that great innovation comes from a bit of playfulness. So it's nice that your platform allows for that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my screen. I'm going to turn off my mic. But Sumolings, again, leave us your questions in the Q&A box down below. We're going to circle back to those at the end of the walkthrough. But also, we do have Jacob here who might answer those before we get to them. And then also tell us about your use case in the chat box, and there will be a replay just in case you miss anything. All right, passing this over to you.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. And again, hello to all the wonderful Sumolings out there. And thanks for joining us for this demo walkthrough. And please don't hesitate to send any questions to Jacob, and we'll address those at the end of the walkthrough. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick look at the platform. We'll go over some of the basics and try to meet all of you where you are, because some of you obviously have not had that much time on the platform just yet, and others, they're already starting with collecting ideas and have already invited tons of people. So we'll try to cover all aspects, and we'll start out with covering the basics. So I'll just share my screen with all of you, and we'll get started. So first things first, as you can see right here on my screen, we're looking at a demo platform that I've set up. It's similar to the workspaces that you folks have purchased. And this one is called Unicorn Inc. As you can see, the subdomain unicorninc.ideanote.io up top. And we're currently on the missions tab. And we're looking at examples of missions right here on my screen. And the reason we're starting here is because the concept of a mission is a very important one in terms of understanding how do we think about ideas and how do we think about the journey of the idea once it's collected. And you could also think of these missions as goal-oriented idea collections, because they're used to organize your ideas, to collect ideas around certain topics. As you can see, they each have a question within them that represents a challenge. And this question is then addressed to an audience. And in this case, we have put 3 missions within what we call a team folder. This one is called Unicorn Inc. And that's because these 3 missions, topically, are relevant to the whole organization of Unicorn Inc. But you could also imagine that you might want to create a team folder for, say, open innovation, and then you'd put a mission in there for your external partners, or maybe for customers. Or another example, you could create a team folder for a department. In this case, we've created one for team sales, and we'll let team sales create all their missions and put them in this particular team folder. Now, it is important to note that each of these missions, they have a separate audience. So just because a mission is in the team sales folder, it doesn't mean that only team sales can see them. It's just a way for us to add some structure and to organize our workspace around these different folders. Now, what I'm going to do next is just click one of the missions so we can see what it looks like from the inside. And I'll pick this guy right here. And as you can see, up top, we have the mission question, and it's nicely decked out with a cover image. And as an admin, I might have added some mission description and image or video, maybe some documents, anything that I can add to equip the user submitting ideas to submit even better ideas. And as a user, I can browse the ideas that have already been submitted to the mission, and I can interact with them by, say, liking them, for instance, or I can add an idea of my own. And once I do that, I'll click do you have an idea, and I'm presented with this popover, this submission form. Now this one is short and sweet, and it asks for a title, and then a description of my idea, and lastly, an attachment. But you could imagine that this submission form could look entirely different. As an admin, I can customize based on templates and add, say, another description field, or maybe a dropdown, or check marks, or sliders, anything that ensures that I collect ideas in the right format. And I can do this for each of every one of my missions. I'll submit this first idea. And as you can see, it appears here on top of all the other ideas. Now, so we talked about structure and team folders and missions, and you know, structure is great. But to make it really valuable, we need process. And the way that Ideanote brings process into this equation is with something called phases. And all new ideas, they start out in what we call the grow phase. And that's indicated by this green call to action right here that says, how might this idea be improved? It's an invitation to collaborate, to add feedback, to mature the ideas that you've collected. So users can click this call to action and they can add their feedback, just like that. And that's how you get the ball rolling. And you can imagine you've collected 100 ideas. And out of those ideas, some of them are getting a lot of attention. People are growing the idea, they're liking the idea. You want to move some of them forward into your process. So what you can do, and what I have done for this particular mission, is you can create a set of rating criteria that you can use to evaluate the ideas that you collect. So I've set up some rating criteria for this particular mission, but you can set up your custom rating criteria. You can add as many as you'd like and use those to evaluate your ideas. And what that looks like is we'll pick an idea and we're going to say change phase, and we're going to put it in the rate phase. And as you can see, the before green call to action, it now turns yellow, and it has the first of our rating criteria within it. It asks, how confident are you in this idea? And users are then invited to click and then rate the idea on a 4 scale. And then the next criteria pops up. How large of an impact will this idea have? How expensive is this idea? And lastly, how long will it take to implement this idea? And what you get then is an accumulated average based on all the ratings received that tells you something about how well the idea is doing, if we should move it even further in our process, or maybe back into grow, for more collaboration to see if we can make it mature even further. Now, I want to show you a couple more faces, but to do that, I'm going to change the layout. So right now, as you can see in the top left-hand corner, we're on something called Explore. And that just means we're exploring the mission. We can see all the ideas on top of each other. But now we're going to change it to the Manage view. And we're still within the mission, but right now we can see all the different phases and the ideas within them in this cool column Kanban style view. And other than, of course, providing an overview, this also allows us to do some dragging and dropping of ideas between phases. And you can see right here, we have the grow phase where we started out, we added the first idea, then we put it in rate. You can see the idea we added is right here. And if you imagine that of all the ideas in rate, some of them have scored really high. You might want to take the best ones and move those into the act phase. And as I'm sure some of you have already figured out, the act phase is all about taking action. So ideas in this particular phase can be assigned to either teams or individual who basically decides who should act on this idea. And you will assign someone to carry it out, and this person will get notified that they now own the idea. And of course, once the idea has been implemented, they can move it to the done phase, which is your own personal trophy cabinet, basically. Now, this funnel, for this particular mission, well, it looks like this because that's how I've set it up. But you can set up your own funnel for each of all your missions. And you can do that by either changing the names of the phases, you can change the description, you can even move them around, reorder them, or you can add entirely new phases by clicking Add Phase, and then you get an overview of the different types. So we want, say, a review phase. So we'll add that. As you can see, it pops up here on the right-hand side. We'll move it over in the beginning of the funnel. And what that means is now that all new ideas will start in the review phase and require admin approval before they appear and grow, where we can then grow them, and then the funnel continues. And again, each mission can have its own funnel, and it's entirely up to you what it should look like. Now, I want to show you one more thing within the mission, and that is how you share the mission and set up the audience for the missions that you create. As you can see, we have a share button in the top right-hand corner. And if I go ahead and click this, I'm presented with a share dialog that shows me who has access to this particular mission. And right now, I'm here. I have admin rights because I created it. I've also added previously team sales. And you can see they have access to the grow phase and the rate phase as indicated by these little icons. But we might want to say, bring Annika on board. We'll edit Annika's rights. And we want her to grow and rate, but also act on ideas. And she'll get the corresponding icons to show us that that's the access that she has now. Something else you can do is add a shareable link. And then you can set access for that link so that anyone who arrives via the link will get the corresponding access that you've set. So we'll say anyone who arrives via the link should be able to add ideas. We want them to grow ideas as well, but that's it. And then we can go ahead and share the link. And this you can do for each of your missions. And these missions, of course, are also the ones that you can embed on your own website. And we have a bunch of documentation on that, so you can white label and make it look neat and nifty and cool. So I hope that makes perfect sense to everyone. If not, please let Jacob know, and we'll address those questions in a moment. I want to show you one more thing, and that is the Insights tab, because that is where you get all your workspace data visualized. We like to refer to it as our own digital newspaper. And I've actually loaded it on a different workspace just to show you what it looks like. And Insights, as you can see, tells you something about where you're collecting ideas from and how users are interacting with your workspace. Gives you some stats on members with comments, members with ideas, how long are they spending on the workspace once they're here. You also have a Hall of Fame, which is more of a classical leaderboard style layout where you get leaderboards with comments, ideas, all that good stuff for individual users, but also for teams. This makes a wonderful reference when you want to tell some success stories. You want to get out there and create a strong narrative and then compliment people on their interaction and engagement. This is a great tool for that. And a personal favorite of mine, the Trends tab. Now, this idea cluster right here is something that we built in collaboration with one of our enterprise customers, because they were out and they were engaging more than 100,000 people at once. And of course, that resulted in a lot of ideas. And it can be tough sorting through so many ideas. We wanted to provide a tool that could help say something about the trends that appeared in all the ideas collected. And right now, you're seeing clusters of ideas within this platform, and they're automatically sorted by the content. And you can change the parameters for how the platform sorts the ideas and clusters them together. And it gives you some suggestions for how you might want to link ideas together. So if we select, say, 2 ideas that the platform has clustered together, we can read them and we say, all right, that makes sense. We'll want to create a manual link. So we'll solidify the suggested link just like this. Or we can do the exact opposite. We can say, nope, we don't want them to be together. And we'll dissolve the link and they'll float their separate ways. It's a way for you to see what's going on your platform, to create some links based on similarities or just adjacent topics. And of course, those links will be available within the platform when people play around with the ideas. And one final thing, and then we'll get to your questions, because one of the more popular features that you guys have seemed to really enjoy is the widget. And the widget is a way for you to embed a mission anywhere. So this is an example page. This could be your personal landing page, for instance. And as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, you have this little widget icon. And this represents a mission. So it's linked directly to a mission within the workspace. See, we have the mission question here and the mission description. And people can then submit ideas directly, be taken through whatever template you've set up for the question, even a little slider if you want. You can customize all of this entirely. And then at the end, they'll be asked to sign up and their idea will be submitted and it'll be put directly into the mission that you have linked to the widget. And you can start managing ideas and work with them, but now you have a different channel where you can meet your customers or meet your external partners and collect ideas from there. So I think that that covers the very basics, and I hope it was useful. I'd love to know what questions Jacoby has managed to dust up in the meantime.
All right, so I'm gonna go through these questions that we've received in the Q&A box. Simulings, if you have any more, you can go ahead and leave those there. If you leave them in the chat room, I probably won't see them, not because I'm avoiding you, but because they're really easy to manage in the Q&A box, so go ahead and send them there. All right, now that I've done all that, I would like team owners to run their own missions, and I'm finding that I need to construct training for them to use the platform. Do you have succinct training videos or references that can help get them up to speed quickly?
So I was hoping someone would ask that question, and that's because I'm one of the lucky guys who works in our customer success department, and we have just launched an entirely new help center. So we've overhauled everything. There's new videos, new material, and all of that will be available directly from within the app in, I want to say, a matter of days. Jacob, you might correct me on that one. But all new material, all new help articles for you to use and enjoy. So yes, absolutely, there'll be material available within the app. Currently, as you can see, we have some links here in the side nav. So that's going to be even smoother, even better. You'll be able to access it directly from within here.
Amazing, thank you. So this question refers to a phase that I don't know which one they were referring to at the time. It was 8/11 a.m. my time. Can this phase be enabled by default? Is there a reason that users can't immediately go into the 4-factor ratings?
I think I'm going to need that question one more time.
Can this phase be enabled by default? Again, I don't know which phase they're referring to, but maybe you will. Is there a reason that users can't immediately go into the 4-factor ratings?
Right. So currently the standard when you create a new mission is, of course, not that you get bombarded with all these options here. And we want to make it simple, and we want you to build your own funnel. And the reason for that is, of course, because people have different needs and there are different use cases. However, it's not that you have to, each time you create a mission, that you have to start over, build the funnel again, because I know that the product team right now is actually working on mission templates. So whatever your standard is, whatever fits your use case the best, you will very soon be able to create a template that you can automatically load into your mission so that the funnel appears exactly the way you want it. But of course, the current default is simplified. We give you the option to say grow and rate, but we don't want to overwhelm people with too many options they haven't asked for.
Awesome, thank you. What is the difference between basic, advanced, and enterprise analytics? Also, what is secure single sign-on authentication, and why would somebody want it?
Those are some very good questions, and I'm going to hop on over to Insights to answer the first one. So basically, we've divided this whole Insights dashboard into 3, and the first level, you get the engagement insights. Now with which is, like I mentioned in the initial walkthrough, the most basic engagement stats in terms of how users are using your platform. Then when you upgrade, we throw in the impact tab as well. That tells you something about how the ideas that you have either completed or archived have impacted your business in terms of increased revenue or customer satisfaction, or if you're archiving ideas because of lack of resources, or whatever the reason might be. And lastly, with the enterprise level, you also get trends, which is among other things, the idea cluster that we took a look at. And that's, I must say, that's a fan favorite, the idea cluster. It's quite powerful. So those are the differences between those 3. So it's basically a tab extra for each step of the upgrade ladder. Now, for single sign-on, that is, well, it's 2 things really. It's an added layer of security, because what it does is it restricts access to a platform based on for example, work credentials. So a particular domain will be the only people that will be allowed to log in. So you must have, say, a Unicorn Inc. work email to gain access to the platform. So that's one aspect. And the other is just sheer convenience, that if I don't have to create a user, I know I can just use my work credentials. That means I already know the email, I already know the password, and if it's set up, I can just click a button that says SSO, and I'll be taken directly onto the platform, and I'll be logged in. So those are the 2 things that makes SSO such a wonderful feature.
Thank you for that. All right, this next one is, I'm working with an organization with thousands of team members. Can I easily allow these people to access the ideas?
I mean, yeah, so there's a lot of different things in play there. Of course, it would depend on how you would like them to access ideas. But if I'm understanding correctly, you're talking about how do I just, how do I get the ball rolling? How do I bring people on board? And we have a bunch of different ways you can bring people on board your platform. One of them we already took a look at. That was the shareable link that was generated within the mission itself. But you also have a dashboard. I'm just going to click Settings in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm going to go to Manage Members. And here you have some different options in terms of how you want to invite people to your workspace. So one is simply adding a name and an email, maybe a personal message, and they'll receive an email invite. You can also generate a shareable invite link. So this is different from the link in the mission. that where the link we saw in the mission only gives you access as a guest to that particular mission, this link gives you access as a member to the whole workspace and all of the missions that have been shared with the members of the workspace. Now you can also upload a CSV file with the email and the names of the people you'd like to invite, just drag and drop, and all the email invitations will go out automatically. And lastly, here you can see you have an overview of the different members in the different teams. So this is basically where you manage all your people. So it's very easy to give people access. It can really be as easy as just sharing a link, and they'll be ready to go. So I hope that answers the question.
I think it does. Thank you for that. All right. Can ideas be linked between different mission questions, or they can only be linked within a mission?
See, that's a great question, because that's exactly why we built the idea cluster functionality, to allow you to link ideas between missions. So I'll show an example of some ideas that have been linked. We'll pick this particular mission, and I just happen to know that this idea right here is a link to other ideas. So now I've clicked the idea, and I can read the idea, I can see any attachments, and then I can see right here underneath, it says 2 linked ideas, and I can access both of them. So if I click, the idea will be taken to the next one, no matter where it is. And then this is even linked to an additional 2 ideas, and I can just keep on going. And it doesn't matter where the ideas are placed within the missions, as long as I have access to them and that the link has been solidified, then you'll be able to see them that way. And it is basically to avoid people working on similar projects, siloed up. It's a great way also to make sure that people that should be talking because of, say, adjacent ideas that have some similarities or some relevance to each other, they're brought together in collaboration.
Excellent. All right. The next question, how many missions can I have? Is that unlimited?
Yes. The end. I'll just leave it at that.
I love
as many as you want. You can go absolutely mission crazy.
Mission crazy. That's my dream. All right. Can you show us an example of an embedded widget that uses minimal space?
Yeah, so that was actually that nifty little one we saw right over here. Like, this is as tiny as you can make it. So this page, again, that can be yours entirely, whatever you want. You probably have a great customer-facing landing page that you'd like to use. Then you just plop down the widget and make sure that it's linked directly to a mission of your choice. And I mean, that is as discreet as we can make it.
I think that's discreet. I think you did it. You nailed it. All right. Can you please show us how folders work? I'm trying to decide how many I need.
Right. So I was hoping that question would pop up, because that's really important. I think an important distinction here is you want to think about folders the same way that you think about folders on a computer. So they're all about organizing things based on the relevance that you decide. So like we briefly talked about in the beginning, you could have a folder for a department, but you might also create a folder for a certain topic. So one way of thinking about it, if you have, say, multiple clients, you might want to give them a team folder each, so that you know where all the missions to client X is and where all the missions to client Y is. But I would add to that if you have multiple clients with several hundreds of users, they might deserve to have a workspace of their own. But it tends to be a really good way to organizing different customers or different clients by simply giving them a folder of their own and then letting them put their missions inside of it. And just to reiterate, folders, they don't have anything to do with access. It's just a way to organize your missions, because as we already saw, access is set on a mission level. So each mission, of course, has that little share button, and that's where we set the access for the mission. But these here team folders are just so we know where things are and we know where to find them.
Amazing, amazing. Can you show the pricing chart and share the difference in user numbers in the various codes? What is recommended for multi-client agency?
All right, let's pull that up. There we go. So I think I'll circle back to actually the answer to the previous question, where if you have, let's see here, where did it go? Where are you? There
While
you
you're
are.
on this, sorry to interrupt, but the next question is about white labeling, and it says how many codes for white labeling and where is your brand removed and ours added. So if you want to go over that a little bit in here too.
Oh my God, look at this shameless AppSumo promotion. I will not have it.
Join our email list. Sorry.
Okay, so you know, some great questions in there, and it's obviously quite important. So I think yeah, I'll reiterate what I said before. It's if you have a lot of clients and these clients they have multiple users, I would definitely say go for multiple workspaces. Now, you get essentially, if you want, you can have one workspace per code. So here are two examples. You buy 3 codes, that will either give you one workspace with all these stats, or it will give you 3 workspaces with these stats. So you can basically mix and match the workspaces and the codes in any way you see fit. And it's difficult to draw, I think, a line and say, all right, any more clients than this or any more users than this, you got to do multiple workspaces. But I would say you can definitely manage a handful of clients within one workspace, as long as they have a team folder each. It's not a problem at all. But you would also have to consider how sensitive is the ideas within the missions, say, because of course you can set up different audience for different missions so that you can keep things separated. That's not an issue at all. But you never know. It might be that late Friday evening, you come home, you think it's a good idea to share a mission. You've had one too many, and when you have it, you share a mission with the wrong client, and now Christmas is ruined. So I think it's worth considering. We've definitely seen people manage those 20 and 30 and 40 clients in a single space, but it does get a little bit messy if you have too many. Now, for white labeling, you can do that with each of the plans, and you also get a custom URL. And what you can do with the white labeling is, I'll show you here in the settings. You have in the workspace section, you can of course add your own logo, and you can set your cover image. And this is also where you can remove Ideanote branding, so all the Ideanote stuff disappears, so we won't be anywhere on the platform. You can also disable all Ideanote emails, so we're not going to send out any notifications or anything like that. And then you have the personalization section, where you can add your own touch. So you can play around with the color themes. You can change each individual color. You can set your own favorite font, roundness of corners, change how the layout is in terms of cards and buttons. So you can really make it feel like your own. And of course, you can also embed all the missions on your own landing page if you don't want to have any idea in a workspace, and then just push it as your own, basically. So I hope that that answers the questions. I think for anyone sitting with multiple clients and a ton of use cases, please ping me, send us an email, and we'll talk about your specific use case if you're still unsure whether you should do multiple workspaces or simply give them a folder each, because I know that can be a little bit complicated to figure out. So we'll love to do that with you. Yeah, if there's a will, there's a way. Anything can be done.
Wonderful. Question, a follow-up on white labeling. The SEO title says Ideanote, it remains at the top. Is that able to be changed?
I think I'm gonna need that again, the SEO title.
The SEO title stating Ideanote remains at the top. Is that able to be changed?
Jacob, maybe you can chip in on this one. Do you know something I don't?
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely something that is currently quite static. At the top left there, we can see Ideanote and then all-in-one innovation platform. And it would be great if that
Yeah, it's
could
in the
just
browser.
say unicorn instead. It's currently not doing that, but we should amend that. And I think that's a great idea. If you head over to ideanote.it/roadmap, it would be awesome if you could just add that as a suggestion, and then we'll try to prioritize it, as, as we go along.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Jacob. And yeah, Prescott and anybody else, yay. Thank you for that suggestion. This is why I like our community. They have some cute ideas, and then I like our partners that get these things done quickly. How great. All right, where was I on this? Can I moderate ideas and comments on ideas before they are made public?
I gotta say, you guys are you're just lining up all the golden nuggets here. Yes, absolutely. So one of the reasons we actually added the review phase was by popular demand, because of our users wanting to do exactly what you're asking there. So this phase, the review phase, you can add that to any mission you want, and if you then set it as, you see, I'll say edit phase, and you can set it as what we call the inbox. That means that all new ideas, they will start out in this phase rather than grow. And what that means is that all new ideas will have to be approved before they're visible to normal users. So it'll be an admin only view in this phase. And that way you can moderate and make sure that there's no improper language or mutiny or anything being thrown your way.
On a similar note, no mutinies. And I think we just saw it on the screen. Can you restrict access to certain ideas between members? If so, are the other cards hidden?
Yes, you can do that, not on a idea to idea level. So you can say, oh, this one idea, we don't want that to be visible. But you can restrict access in terms of missions. So you do that in of course, the access settings. And you can even do that, of course, down to a phase level, right? So we have all the different phases within our mission. And if I say that this particular phase, we'll take the review phase as an example, we can control the visibility for each of the phases. Right now, it's visible for anyone with access to this mission, but we can also hide it so that only people with admin rights and who has an invitation to this phase in particular will be able to see the content within it. So in that sense, we can absolutely hide ideas by playing around with the access that we set for each of the different phases. I think a good example here could be based on best practices, the way that most of our customers, they use this particular funnel. They'll have access set so that everyone can add ideas and everyone can grow ideas. But for the most part, you'll have a panel of experts or executives or managers do the rating and the acting. And you might even want to put the rate phase into invisibility mode, so you can do the rating in private without sharing that. So you can play around and set up what works for you. But that tends to be one of the best practice approaches.
Awesome, thank you. You had mentioned earlier mixing and matching the codes. How can a user go about doing that if they bought more than a code?
So once you shop for codes, you're sent an email by AppSumo to help you get started by creating your workspace and adding your first code. And well, it's basically as simple as that. If you shop for a single code, you'll simply redeem one code on that workspace. And then you can head on over to start.ideanote.io, create another workspace, and redeem codes there as well if you want to prop up additional workspaces. So I hope that answers the question. It's wonderfully simple, but that's thanks to AppSumo and not to Ideanote.
Woo. All right, so this is the last question that I have here. If anybody else has any pressing questions that they really would like to get in here, now is your moment. This question is, can you share some exciting new features that you are working on and whether they will be included in the AppSumo deal?
That's a good question. That's a great question to end on. I will let Jacob answer that, but I want to say one thing before I do, and because it relates to all these new features and all this wonderful stuff that we've received from you guys in terms of feedback. I mean, it's sometimes, you know, it feels like we're doing someone a favor because we're offering them a great tool for no money, but it's exactly the opposite. That we've gotten so much out of this campaign because of the feedback we've received. I mean, the Sumolings are they're just vast sea of knowledge and creativity and amazing feedback. So I want to reiterate what Jacob said. Head on over to ideanote.it/roadmap and add all your ideas, your awesome feedback, so we can co-create on making the platform even better. Because you've already showed us that obviously you guys know what's cool and what's not, and we want to collaborate on making this the perfect tool for all of you. So with that, I'll let Jacob answer the upcoming feature question. I'm sure he knows a ton more about that than I do.
That's right. I completely agree here. We had an example already here in the talk with better SEO titles that can be customized. Some of the things that we are very excited about, one of the big features coming up is for us going to be integrations. So we are going to build a native Zapier integration so that you can use ideas in any of the other tools that you might want to use them. You know, send out your own email campaigns based on people that sign up, or, you know, do your own kind of analytics or capture ideas in a different way. So both incoming ideas and ideas going out from Ideanote. So that's one thing we're very excited about. And then one of the other things that we just launched this week are some changes to how teams work. That's actually based on the first week of feedback from AppSumo, where people mentioned because they have a lot of clients, having different team folders for every client would be really, really awesome. But having people enter a workspace and then seeing all the clients wouldn't be as awesome. So we added a functionality to hide teams that people shouldn't see as a standard. So that's part of this week's deployment of new Ideanote goodness. And then one of the other things we're working on is mission templates, making them even better. So I think that was also a question in here where someone said, wouldn't it be nice if every team kind of has their own ways of creating missions, has their own phases, has their own descriptions, has their own kind of standards. Plus you could get even more inspirations from customized, perfected mission templates. So mission templates is also something that's going to come up. And sometimes we're being asked, hey, is that included in the AppSumo deal? As a baseline, the AppSumo deal is aligned with our business plan, and you will get feature updates at no additional charge, unless they are an additional charge for us. So for example, if our platform at some point, you know, lets you send out tons of SMS to people, that would, you know, cost us every time, so we can't offer that for free. And the same kind of goes for integration. There might be a limit of, you know, 5 integrations, but we'll match that up with our general business plan as we go along and co-create the platform with you. But in general, yeah, ideanote.it/roadmap, that's a good place to see and also uprate what is important to you, so we can prioritize it together with you.
Thank you for that. That was wonderful. One person did ask in terms of integration and future-ness, will you be integrating with Slack?
Right, that's actually one that we consider having a native integration to. Right now we have an SSO integration, so you can just sign in with your Slack account. But no matter if it's going to be native or not, just going through Zapier is really easy to set it up. So you can basically make all your Slack and Ideanote dreams come true once we have that on our platform.
Awesome. All right, so we do have some questions that came in. All of them have the word teams in them. So these are gonna be our last bunch of questions before we sign off. I'm gonna hit you with a few though. So can you go over workspace, teams, and pricing? That's the first one. The second one was you discussed adding members and teams at a later date on the AppSumo offer page. Do you have an idea about what that will cost? And then the third one is how do teams work? How many teams can we have?
Right. So there's a lot of stuff there, and hopefully I'll cover all of it. If not, please remind me what I skipped. So I think first I want to address the upgrade offers. I've already said this to some Sumo links, so I apologize if I'm just repeating myself to you now, but we haven't quite settled on what that model looks like, but we will be sure to share it on the deal page as soon as we know. And we're actually trying to figure it out in collaboration with you Sumo links. Of course, any particular feedback on what upgrades would be the most important to you, we would love to know more about that. So I'm sorry I can't be more specific, but we'll be sure to let you know once we've settled on something. Now, in terms of teams, I forget, did someone ask how they work?
Yeah, how they work, how many can we have, and then can you go over workspace teams and pricing? Right.
So basically you can shop for teams all day long, as you can see here. They stack nicely with the codes. You can max out at 15 codes. And of course, we'll make sure to add some additional upgrade option for teams so that you can have, well, as many as you'd like, because the platform does support as many teams as your plan can push. So in theory, you could have teams all day long, all the way down. But as I mentioned before, when we talked about multiple clients and teams versus workspaces, at some point, it becomes less ideal to have, say, 25 different teams with 500 users in each, because that's just one big hot mess. And at that point, I might want to consider doing separate workspaces for each. And that is, of course, easy to do by simply purchasing a code for at least one code for each of your workspaces. Basically, you can start or create as many workspaces as you'd like. You're automatically put on a 7-day trial, and then you just fill up that workspace with codes. You can do as many codes as you like. And in terms of how they work, the teams, I guess there's nothing bad in reiterating that they are, of course, very much like folders that you can use to put your missions within, so that you can organize your way out of, say, 15 different clients. You want to make sure you know which missions belong to which of your clients. So each client might very well have a team folder of their own that they can either create missions in, or that you create missions in for them. So think of team folders as locations, basically, for your missions. Did I leave anything out?
You did not.
What I want to know.
You nailed it. Do Sumo links get an extra code for leaving a review?
Yes, ma'am. That they do.
I've never heard of that before, and that's so exciting. Thank you, Prescott, for bringing that to our attention. What fun facts.
I mean, we have been shoving codes down Sumo link throats all week, and it's been amazing. And I gotta say, reading those reviews, if that is not a confidence boost, I don't know what that is. I have not felt that amazing in a long time.
Oh, I love that.
We've been showered with kind words, and it's wow. I get all emotional. It's really amazing the feedback we've received. It's so amazing.
All right. Do they automatically get the code, or do they have to request it?
So we've put in, it's just a bad excuse for me to get to talk to more Sumo links, because we love it. They just have to ping me and include a screenshot of the review, and then we'll send the code right back with a personal message from me.
Oh, well, what a note to end on. Sumo links, go leave your reviews now. Get your codes at appsumo.com/Ideanote. It's starting at just $59, and apparently you can stack these codes for days. And then, of course, once you get going with it, once you start innovating and changing the world, et cetera, leave a review and go ahead and get in touch with Morton directly, and he's just gonna hook you up with more codes. He just wants more codes for everybody. And of course, if you have any more questions, you can go ahead and leave those on the deal page. You can contribute to the roadmap. They are open to suggestions and they love hearing from you. And I think those are all of the things. You can get started, backed by AppSumo's 60-day guarantee. So what do you have to lose? And yeah, you all